Okay. Let's mute that. Oh, not there yet. All right, perfect. Where are we there? All right. Let's make sure everything's coming through. It is. I'm really pumped about tonight. It's going to be a fun one. I have a feeling. I can feel it. It's great when you integrate Drupal with other things. And it's like, oh, Drupal's actually useful. Ha, just joking. No, no, no. It's yeah, Drupal's useful. Don't worry. It's good too. All right, now before we jump into things, let me just copy over a few things. And then we can jump into it. All right. Just need to pull one thing. All right, where is that? No, there it is. All right. Okay. I think we are good to go. So if you have any questions, please, please, please just chuck them in. I'll do my best to answer them. And we can take it from there. All right, now before we start the process, let me start recording that one. Let me start recording. No, I'm not going to record that. And hot mic USB. There we go. Nicely recording. And we are good to go. All right. Let me just fix up my chair. Or just need to fix up my chair a little bit. I've got a new desk, so I'm pretty pumped. That's why I'm looking a bit different. I don't know if I did it this weekend, but normally on my old desk, or previous desk that I was using, I was pointing that way, where now I'm pointing this way. All right. So that one's there. That one's streaming, 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 and LinkedIn is all ready to go. Awesome. All right. Well, we might as well get into it. Let's transition over. And let's start the recording. I think we are good to go. All right. Okay. Let's get into it. All right. Take my headphones off. No longer need them. And let's do it. Only 6 minutes later. That's all right. Skip 6 minutes through. All right, cool. So, hello and welcome to this live stream, which is aptly titled From Sheets to Sites, Automating Drupal with Make, which is a third-party platform, and OpenAI. So what are we going to do today? Well, today we're going to be focusing not so much on Drupal, but integrating it with other systems. And what we're going to build out is a nice little setup where we have a Google Sheets. So here we have a Google Sheets, okay? And we have a row. This is just a standard spreadsheet, but Google Sheets now has this table system. Don't worry about that. It's still a spreadsheet. But essentially, what we're going to do is set up an integration where we can type in a title. So, how to install Drupal. You can add a type, but that really doesn't do anything. I'll get back to send to Drupal. Then we're going to put in a content prompt. So this is where we actually specify what we want OpenAI to generate for us. And then what's going to happen is if we click on send to Drupal, it will, let me just close that. It will go to make.com. So that is this service right here. Then go to OpenAI, generate content for us using the prompts right here. Then it'll save it in Drupal, as well as saving the actual generated content in here into detail. So we've got a copy of it. So there are a lot of steps, but it was relatively easy to set all this stuff up, relatively easy. And so I'm pretty pumped about this live stream because, yeah, it really just shows the flexibility now you have with these systems that you can do all of this and not write a bit of code, which is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. So the first thing we need to do is make sure we have a Drupal site, obviously. And what I'm doing is I'm utilizing the system called Gitpod. I don't know if anyone's used it, but it is a Drupal site essentially in the cloud. And there is an actual project page for it. But what it is, that probably doesn't explain it. Let me just bring up the actual site, Gitpod. It can run, it pretty much runs Docker in the cloud for you. And I've used it a few times in a few of my live streams. Sorry, I'm just moving the mic up a little bit more. And it's a great way to host a Drupal site that needs to be accessible on the internet, because our site needs to be accessible for make.com to push content back in. So the first thing we need to do is spin up a site on here. Now, I've already done that because it does take a bit of time. But if you go to drupal.org/project/DrupalPod, you can actually click. Well, there's actually a few ways of spinning this up. So you can set up an actual, you can download this extension. You can go ahead and spin up a Drupal site from within an issue. Or what you can do is click on try out a demonstration. And what this does is that this will go to Gitpod and automatically spin up, because it's passing this URL. And of course you need to log in with your Drupal account, because it needs access to this actual repo. And what this does is that it actually, if you take a look at the code, where is it? The source code. I'm getting there. I'm getting there eventually. It actually looks for this Gitpod folder, and it spins everything up based off everything in here. And the good thing is that it actually uses, well, Gitpod folder, and also here you go, this Gitpod YAML file. And it actually uses DDev, which is a good, pretty much, I think, the de facto development environment for Drupal now, which is great. And so jumping in is pretty easy. Once it's all set up, you essentially get VS Code. And you can look at the code, you can modify the code as much as you want, but best of all, if you click here in the terminal, let me zoom in a bit more. Maybe I need to zoom in a little bit more. You get access to all of the DDev stuff, which is great. So you can easily go ahead and modify it. So the reason why I'm using this for this, the reason why I'm using Gitpod for today is because we need a website that's actually online, because make.com will then push content in there. So at this point, I mean, there's nothing else I have to configure at this point so far. All right. So Drupal is just going to be there. Okay. And what we need to do, first of all, is make sure we have a spreadsheet. So we've got a spreadsheet right here, which is great. And then we're going to utilize make.com. Now, make.com is a no-code platform that allows you to integrate third-party applications together. And if you search for, here you go, apps. So it's similar to Zapier, but I do believe the free tier gives you a bit more freedom, the free tier. But you can essentially integrate it whichever way you want. So if you type in, say, Drupal, it does have integration with Drupal. It is very limited, however. So you can see here, we have all these modules, so we can have triggers. We can watch for new content, and also then we have these actions, which is create a content, delete a content, get a content, and make an API call. Now, as I mentioned, it is pretty limited, meaning that you don't get access to absolutely all the fields if you use one of these standard create a content actions. What you can do, if you really want to take things to the next level and have full absolute control, you can write a bit of JavaScript in something like make an API call, and then set up Drupal to, set up Drupal to accept JSON API, which we are going to have to do, or GraphQL, and then you can go in there and just write JavaScript and just do whatever you want, essentially. So there's all of that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to show you just the bare basics to get going. But of course, if you want to really integrate this, you're going to have to spend a bit of time just integrating it together. So looking at the pricing, now this is important, okay? As I mentioned, you do have Zapier, that's kind of like the main one, but they just went up in price a lot. I was actually grandfathered into a pretty good plan, and then they pretty much cut that off, which pretty much all SaaS applications do these days. You're no longer grandfathered in. Very rarely are you. Well, no. Actually, I think Canva was going to increase their prices, and then they actually backtracked and then grandfathered people in, which is kind of ironic, which is kind of weird, because now you know that they won't be able to then, probably 10 years from now, they will probably increase the prices, who knows. But yeah, they actually reversed their decision. Anyway, so if you come down here, you can set up an account. You get 1,000 operations. Now, one thing to be aware of is that on the free account, now Make is not sponsoring this video, okay? It's not sponsoring this video at all. I just like their service. Now, one thing to be aware is that on the free account, you can only run 2 scenarios, I believe, 2 active scenarios. So pretty much two active workflows. Okay, so be aware of that, because you can easily go through 2. I essentially use one full time, and then I use the second one for testing. But you could essentially just create another account and utilize that stuff. And the other thing is, if you have a scenario where it has to schedule stuff, then it'll only schedule it every 15 minutes, not 1 minute. But if you're on the paid account, you can have unlimited scenarios, and any trigger that has to be scheduled can be scheduled every 1 minute. So it's much faster. So just be aware of that. Now, for basic stuff, it's, you can use the free account, but if you are going to be using this full on, like properly, I say invest in the core. And when you think about it, $9 a month isn't too bad. Is not too bad. All right. So let's start things off by creating our scenario. So here is the actual scenario which we are going to create. Now, this is the backup scenario that I've got just in case things fail, because it's always smart to do that. And you can see here we have Google Sheets. We have a filter, which checks to see if it's been checked. Then it goes to OpenAI. Then we have a router, which essentially just passes the request, the results from OpenAI to Drupal, and then also to Google Sheets. Now, if this is the first time you're looking and seeing make.com, understand that there's a ton of ways of doing things. We could essentially daisy chain and then not use this router and just have Drupal. And then once Drupal's passed, it then goes to Google Sheets and updates. There's multiple ways of doing things. Just like everything in Drupal, there's always 10,000 ways of doing things. But the good thing is that if you are stuck with anything, just search on YouTube. Everyone uses Make, like it's a very popular thing. All right, so what I'm going to do is go to scenarios. You can see all my little test scenarios here. And we'll start off with create a new scenario. So let's start that. And what we need to do, first of all, is click on Google Sheets. So our first trigger is going to be Google Sheets. Now, you have a few options here, such as watch for new rows. We don't want to watch for new rows because that's essentially going to trigger it when you just start typing something in here. Because when you think about it, as soon as there's a new row, as soon as there's content on a new row, it's going to trigger the event, which isn't exactly what we want, because we may want to adjust the type, we may want to tweak the title, we may want to also tweak the content prompt, and then click on, okay, we're ready for everything, and then click on send to Drupal. So the best option would be to scroll down until you find watch changes. So this actually watches changes on the cell level. Very important. So we do this, okay? Next, we need to create a webhook. Now, what we also need to do is create, now you need to, let me bring this up. Oh, let me just paste it in here. You need to use the Make Google Sheet add-on for Google Workspace for this to work. So this is very important. You need to set it up. So if we come back here, we create a webhook. And I'll call this one Live Sheets to Drupal. And let's just click on save. And then it's going to tell you, make sure you have the Google Sheets add-on. And then we have our webhook right here. Because then what we need to do, so let's copy this webhook. Make sure it's copied. Go to our Google Sheets, make sure the extension, so the add-on has been added. Then you go to extensions and you'll see Make for Google Sheets. Come to settings. And well, I'm going to delete this one because it's no longer used. Paste in the new webhook and then click on save. And then just wait a tick until it says actually save. All right, cool. So now it's been saved. Because what happens is this will then integrate a webhook from Google Sheets over to make.com. And that's it. So you will have to add this what's it called again? Make Google Sheets add-on to your Google Workspace account. So if you are not an admin, yeah, you're going to have to click on extensions, get add-ons, and then add it. So you have to make sure that if you are an admin, or if you're not an admin for your workspace, you have to ask for permission. All right, our first comment from Kick. Hello. Well, hello to you. Hope you're having a great day. So it's been a bit quiet on the YouTube, but yeah, somebody on Kick. Hello. Okay, so we've done that. All right. Now let's go back to our sheet. Oh, sorry, our scenario. And let's click on OK. All right, so we've done that at this point. And the next thing we need to do is connect our Drupal account. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have our first question in YouTube. Have I worked with Bitbucket? I'm updating Drush. Bitbucket, oh, sorry, I haven't played around with Bitbucket for a very long time. So things have changed. Yes, you can ask questions. Yeah, go ahead. Well, thank you. You are amazing, bro. Just keep going. Well, thanks a lot. Yeah, ask your questions. So no, I really haven't had that much experience with Bitbucket. It's been years since I've used them. Okay, so now we need to integrate Drupal. And what I want to do is just focus on getting the basics set up. So we're not going to set up OpenAI right now. All I want to do is make a change and then just send it through. Okay, so let's just do that. Very important. And that's the thing you'll notice with using make.com. Don't try and do anything convoluted or complex at first. Just get the basics working and then slowly add to it. Because if you have multiple steps, you're going to reach a point where it's like, well, why isn't it working? Or why isn't it working? Or why is it broken? Or something like that. It's just a very hard thing to debug. All right, what is the difference between normal loop and range loop? What's this referring to exactly? Like, are we talking about range loop in what application or what software? If you can give me just a bit more information on that, that'd be great. Oh, in Golang. Oh, in Go. Well, I don't have much experience in Go. Sorry. Can't help you there. Best thing, try asking ChatGPT. Best. I wouldn't be surprised if ChatGPT knows. That's a good thing. All right, so to add a new module, click on Add, and then here you can search for all the other applications you want to integrate with. And you can see there are a lot. There's a ton here. Okay, now let's search for Drupal. So let's do that, and we'll click on Create a Content. Now we are not going to use. Let's not do that. Okay. So what we need to do, well, let's just click on cancel that, open that back up again, and click on Add. So what we need to do at this point is we need to configure our Drupal site, and we need to do a few things here. So let's jump over to our Drupal site. There's a bit of configuration we need to do. So we need to install two modules. That is JSON API and HTTP basic auth. Okay, we've done that. Then what you need to do is create a user account that has admin rights. Now, you want to make sure things are nicely protected if you're setting this up on a very important website, okay? Just make sure things are protected. So what I'll do is I will create this site and then come along in here and I will give it a password. And I'll give it administrator. There we go. And click on create. So we've created our user account. So now what's going to happen is every single time content is created, it's going to be created with this account. And this is a good way of just tracking everything that has been created by Make. Now, the final configuration we need to do here in Drupal is to come under configuration, then click on JSON API, and you want to accept all, so create. This is very important. Now, again, there is a bit of risk in this. It does say here, warning, only enable operations if the site requires it. You do kind of open yourself up to a potential security risk if somebody has a weak password. So just understand that. Now, if your Drupal site is configured properly, you're not going to have problems. If your Drupal site has terrible passwords, you're in for a whole world of pain. So just be aware. So let's just save that. So just to recap, in Drupal, what we need to do is install JSON API and HTTP, basic authentication, create a user account with admin. Then you can go to configuration and set JSON API and then accept. Now that was all required to set this connection up. So I'll do this. What is it? Live sheets to Drupal site. Let's just do Drupal site. And the path, what is the path here? Is this full URL? Oh, come on. And we need to put the actual path. And it tells you here, a bit of information, and the install path, the base URL. Then it is the username and password. Let's click on save. All right. Now, we've got this unauthorized. What is this? Well, this means that Make cannot hit our website. And why is that? Well, this is an actual server configuration. What we need to do is allow this site to be accessible from a non-logged in user. So right now, only I can access the site. Because if I go to, open up an incognito, go to the URL, I get a 401. And this is just Gitpod configuration. So what you need to do is because it's exactly where my avatar is, let me just hide myself. There we go. With the power of editing, I disappear. And you will see here, we have ports down here, right down at the bottom. And what you want to do is open up. Now you are, opening up your site, but this is a test site. And you want to make website port 8080 public by clicking on this little lock. And now it should be public. There we go. Let me reappear. There you go, I'm back. And now if we go to this, we should see our site. All right, done, nice. And if we come back here, save again, hopefully cachings. All right, there we go. It's done. So it pretty much tells us straight away if something has failed. So what it's done, it's logged into the Drupal site and actually pulled in. I'm going to pull in a bunch of options right here. So we have a bunch of fields, content types. So let's select article. And then we have title, and then we have stuff for title, and as well as, what is it? Body field. So what we need to do is we need to now map everything that comes from Google Sheets. So you can see here we have Google Sheets into these fields. Now, if you go to row, so that is row values, come along in here, we can see that A is going to be title. So let's just do that for now, because this is a required field. Let's do that. And what you can do is simply click and drag, and then click on OK. All right. Down at the bottom, make sure you save it. Always make sure you save. Sometimes I can forget to save. And we need to actually run this. So to test it out, what we can do, it's not going to run. So I'll just put in a test content. Okay. And if we come back, well, let's move that over here. All right. Now it hasn't been activated, so it's not going to run automatically. What we need to do is click on run once and wait for new data down at the bottom. Let's just wait for new data, and it's going to be waiting. Then if we come here and then type in hello, and if we click away and then make sure you look up here and wait for it to say saving, you see it says saving. Then if we go back to make, you will see that it actually goes across. You'll see that we have a 1 and a 1 there. If we click on here, we can actually see the payload. And this is a great way of debugging things. We can see the payload. You can actually see an example of things right here. And if it failed, it will actually fail along right here. And then here we can actually see what was saved. And you can see the input. Body was empty, but title says test content, hello. Now, if everything was working and we go to content, this is drum roll. We have a content here. There you go, done. It's created. And you can see it was created by our make user. So there you go. I'm done. All right, thank you very much. That's it. I'm off. See you next week. No, I'm going to increase this. All right, so there you go. That is the most basic of basic integrations. Okay. Now, if we want to go one step further, what we can do is let's integrate this detail. So I'll put in body field, content. Now yes, it's going to save, but it's not going to accept anything. And what we can do, let's see if we can show this in real time. Probably we can. Let's pop this on this side, pop it on that side, so you can actually see it happen. So we've done that, and well, let me go ahead and delete this. Go to Sheets. And let's wait for new data. Come back here. Wait for it to save. There you go. It comes in, doom, doom, goes across. Come back here, refresh. Wait. Oh, sorry. It's being created, but did I map it? Well, actually, no, I didn't, did I? So that will be body field content. There we go. And the good thing is it actually shows you, if you take a look here, it will actually show you the example, the last example, which is useful for testing. All right, so we've done that. Let's go back here again, sorry, and set the formatter to full HTML. Now, another thing you can do is auto align. That just shows you, and you can zoom out with the mouse wheel. All right. Another body field. And let's just put in test 2. Let's now wait for fresh content. It's saving, goes off there, goes into Drupal. We refresh. You can see test 2 right here. Click on edit and we should see our body field. There we go. Simple. Wasn't that? That was absolutely painless. And at this point, this is free. Now, remember, you can integrate anything that Make integrates with into Drupal, which is great, which is absolutely great. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. Okay. A whole bunch of stuff you can do. All right. So now let's go ahead and add in a bit more functionality to things. Okay. Because what I want to do is utilize this checkbox. So let me pop this back in. It is going to be easier if I just pop it back in. I need the space. I need the space. So what I want to utilize is this send to Drupal and this content prompt. So there's two things we need to do. So let's first set up, let me close that. Let's first set up the OpenAI. Now let's unlink it because it's not necessary. Yes, it's going to complain. And let's search for OpenAI. Where is it? OpenAI, show more. All right. So what we need to do is utilize the create a completion. And you want to also go ahead and set up your keys. Now, I've already done that because I really don't want to show keys here in OpenAI, but trust me, there is a ton of information out there. Everyone's doing it. So make sure you go ahead and set up your keys. And so you've set up your keys, set up the connection, and just stick with create a chat completion. And the model we are going to use, I'm just going to use, what are we using? GPT-4o Mini. That's the cheapest, I think, for this example. And what we need to do is add a message, role, let's select user, and then we just put in our text right here. So what we're going to do is I will copy over a bit of a prompt. So the first thing I'll do is put in a prompt, which is create a 200-word step-by-step tutorial about Drupal using the context below. So then I'll use the context, and the context will come from, what is that? That is D. So anything entered in here is a context. So that'll be D. And then output as plain text. Okay. Now, I'm not going to modify things any further. This is where you'll spend a lot of your time if you really want to get into the weeds of it. This is where you'll spend a ton of time. I'm just going to leave it as it is, and that's it. And then we click on OK. Then what we need to do is, okay, that's great. It has been connected. So you can see that it's been connected. So what's going to happen, let's just auto align. It's going to go to OpenAI first, process it, and then it's going to get passed through to Drupal. And then if we click on here, it actually comes in as the results up the top here. So the results coming from here. So what we want to do is first test things out, because one of the important things is if you say click on show queue here, this is say changes. Cool. This is a great way of just seeing what's coming in. So you can see details. So you can actually see a bunch of changes that we've made that have been accepted, but they haven't been passed. And you can see that these are the actual passes. Okay. So if you click on also logs, you can also see the actual log as well. But the queue just means that, yep, a request has been sent. So every single time I do make a change here, it still gets sent because it has been configured with this option right here to send that information over to Make. And you can just clean this up and delete it. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and delete it. Are you sure? Yeah, this just deletes the queue, so that's not a problem. So to test things out, what I'd like to do is let's go ahead and put in, let's just delete these. So open AI test. Let's close that off. Go ahead and delete these because we don't need them. Then if we click on OpenAI test and test prompts, okay? How to install Drupal. We're going to keep it simple. Okay, we're going to keep it absolutely simple. Let's go back to our scenario. And let's run it once. Wait for new data. Come back here. And let's just run it. It's saving. Saved. It's going. And then it goes to, and now you can see OpenAI is taking a bit of time. It's thinking. It's thinking, oh, got something, and it's been passed. All right. Let's click on that. And what we want to do is look at the results. Here we go. We have the results right here. So under results, we have our actual results. Now we haven't mapped it across here. So what we need to do is get rid of this and then simply put in result. Did this create? It probably did. So let's just delete that. Let's again run it once. Wait for new data. Come along in here. Test 2. Saving. It's been received. So wait a moment. Been sent. There we go. All right. Now, if we refresh here, we should see there you go. Now the content needs to be formatted. I totally understand that. But you can see now it's been generated. It has gone in there and been generated. Yes, it needs to be formatted and things like that, but it's there. So right now we do have, let's go back here. Right now we do have a pretty decent workflow. So just imagine editors can go generate all this stuff on the fly, on their phone, because, yes, we can log into a Drupal site on our phone, but you want to use other systems because you may not want to give absolutely everyone access to your Drupal site. And I know when it comes to content creation from the stuff that I do, sometimes when you're on your phone, you just want to jot something down quickly. And I do have a spreadsheet where I chuck in ideas for future short videos or other things. And I'm like, oh, let me just quickly write it down. And I just chuck it in there. And I've been thinking of doing something similar to this, but where it actually generates, where it doesn't go into a Drupal site, but it goes into like a Notion page or something. And you can easily set that stuff up. What I do have is I am using Make, believe it or not, to create folders in Google Drive. So I have a spreadsheet, I chuck in information in the spreadsheet, I select the drop down and it just goes ahead and generates the folders for me. Took a while to set up, especially the first time you use it, but once you get the hang of it, it is pretty decent. But then, you can just think about all these other ideas, like ideas where if you want to, I'm just trying to think of something off the top of my head. If you want to integrate, if you have two departments that don't like each other and they have to push content into the one website, and you have one department that's like, no, I'm not going to allow them access to our Drupal site, but they need to push content in there. What you can do is you could essentially just have some type of system where they put content in here into a spreadsheet and just automatically goes through. Okay, so just be aware of that. There's a ton of stuff you can do. Absolute ton of stuff you can do. All right, so we're not done just yet. Okay, we are not done. Let's implement this send to Drupal, because this is the next thing that you really want to do. You want to control the flow. You don't just want to send everything in there. And that's one thing I realize, that when you watch videos on people using this stuff, you see these like epic workflows, absolutely massive workflows. And it's like, oh, I press a button here and you go and just automatically goes through. And it's like, well, yeah, but don't you have to review these things? Who's reviewing it? I don't know. Somebody is. Anyway. So what I like to do is put in like these gates and say, all right, no, we're going to only allow it if this thing is checked. Because then what you can do is you can come here and be like, all right, well, this was already sent to Drupal, this was already sent to Drupal, and so on and so forth. And we'll finally also fix up the details thing as well here. All right, so let's put in the filter first. So when you click on this send to Drupal checkbox, it'll come here, and you want to click on this wrench right here, or a spanner, or whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is give it a label, send to Drupal, and the condition will be our actual column. So that will be, I believe, C. Is it? C, yes. Let me do that again. C. And then you have all these options here. The one that seems to have worked best for me, even though you do have, well, do you have equals true? You probably do somewhere. Oh, no, you don't. Okay. The one that works best in my experience is contains. And then you just put in true. Let's close that. And hit that. And now if we test it out, so Drupal is not checked. Let's click save. Run once. And then let's put in 3. And it's going to hit this. And you can see that, no, it needs to be true, because this is, well, it's false. Simple. Like, it's just simple true or false. Now, if we come along in here, and again, let's do run once. And then just simply click and save. It's going to go through. There you can see it's already gone through. And it's going to go Drupal. Done. It's passed the gate. one thing to be aware of is that when you are filling this stuff out, you don't want to put in a title, put in a bunch of content very quickly, and then just quickly tab and hit send to Drupal. Pay attention to when it says saving, because sometimes if you're too quick, it may miss and fire off at the wrong time. So you may put in all this content, put the prompt in, and then quickly send to Drupal, but really, because you've done it so quick, it's probably sending it where the state to send to Drupal is still at false. So you want to first write all your content in there, let it save, and then come in here and click on send to Drupal, and then send it off. So just have a bit of patience. Just a teeny bit of patience. Patience gets you a long way. And there you go. And let's double check and make sure that's working. Well, we do know it's working because it didn't fail. And there you go, test 3. And it's come through. All right, done. Now let's save what OpenAI sends to this detail so we can actually see a copy of it. Because another thing you may want to do is you may want to generate the prompt and get whatever OpenAI gives you, and then save it in Google Sheets first, and then send it off to Drupal, because you may want to bring it here, make a few changes, and then send it off. You could do that. Okay, so you do have that option. It just comes down to reordering this, and that's it. So there are a few things you can do. All right, let's now unlink. Oh no, sorry. Let's now add in a router. Oh, there we go. So that one goes up there. And the only thing the router is going to do is the request comes here, and then it's going to go to whichever module is connected. Right now, it will just simply skip across, and that's it. But if we click on again, and then click on, I believe it is update cell. So go to Google Sheets, and what we want to do is update a cell. And we need to get the actual Google Sheet ID. So that's up the top here. And what I like to do is just enter in manually, because it never seems to find it. Chuck the Google Sheet ID in there. And we can put in, what is it? Sheet 1. And the cell would be E. That's it right there. All right. So now what's going to happen is that it will come along in here, then it'll be routed. It will first go there and then go there. Hopefully, if everything is saved correctly. All right. Save it. All right. Module not set up. All right. What's this happening? Has that been saved? All right. I just didn't save it. That's it. Okay. Let's just double check that. Yep. Sheets ID, sheet name, cell. Okay. Save. It's saved. And what we're going to do, let's wait for new information. Well, let's go back here. Let's create another one. Create block. Come along in here. How to create a block in Drupal. So it's fired, but it hasn't passed the filter. Remember that. So let's run it once. Now I should mention that you don't have to click on this run once. Once you enable the scenario, it's just going to work all the time. Now, once everything has been done, all we need to do is, yep, everything looks good here. Let's check it. That is checked. It's saved. It's going through. Now the moment of truth. No, Google Sheets. Okay, that failed. Let's check it out, shall we? What's happened here? Missing parameter. All right. Something happened here. All right, let's try that again. Oh. So sheets. All right. Let's try that again. And this is just the fun part of honestly doing it. So you saw how that failed, and let's do that. Well, let's try existing data. You're going to go through? No, it's not, because that existing data has the checkbox unchecked. All right. Do that. Come back here. Well, while we're doing it, let's just save it. Run once. Check it. Saving. Comes along in here. Sends. And no, it's failed again. Oh. Didn't set the result. Rookie mistake. There you go. Now what I need to do is just set the result. So make sure you don't do what I do. It's failed. Come along in here, set it up, then to the results. And then everything is, oh no, I know what I've done here as well. What we need to do, okay, let's close this off again. All right. Now, it's failed. Okay, it's failed. What we need to do, come back here. Now, this is wrong. What we essentially need to do is specify the cell. So in this case, it's going to be E. So that'll be E. And we need to get the row start, because it needs to generate a row and then a number. Come along in value, then in value, we need to add in the result. Hit save. Let's hit save there. Let's uncheck. For the third time lucky, eh? Run once. Wait for data. Send to Drupal. Comes along here. Sending. No value. Again, it is failing. It does not want to work. Oh, are you serious? Is there a space there? Is that why? Oh my God. Make sure you remove the space. And 4. We'll get there eventually. Save. Scenario saved. Let me just double check that. Save. Okay. So E. Yes, that's correct. Just double checking everything. All right. Now, run once. Wait, how many have we done so far? 3. Okay. 4. And then we, well, it's going to fail. All right, let's just do that. Let's go run once again. All right, it goes through. It generates everything. And oh, there we go. There we go. Passed in. Now, if we come back here, oh, here we go. It's been saved. There you go. And now it's come back here. So the important thing here to remember is you need to make sure there's no space after that. And also put in a value as well. So that was just my fault. I wasn't paying attention to my actual notes over here. So let's just quickly recap what we covered. Well, let me close that. Delete. Auto align. So what happens is when a row is added here and we have send to Drupal checked, it'll go to OpenAI. It will then get routed to Drupal, get updated in Drupal, and then also get updated in the sheet. We go back, we can save the change. And if you want to turn it on, so you don't have to worry about it, you can just simply turn on. Then you do have all this old data. Let's delete old data. Don't need it. Are you sure? Yes, I want to delete the old data. Now, as I mentioned, you can only run 2 active scenarios. So just remember that. You can only run 2 active scenarios. Here you can see a history of all the failed attempts, which is actually very useful. Got some advanced stuff here. You see a lot of steps. It's a great way of debugging things. Go back. Let's go back in here. So yeah, the history is very, very useful. And what we can do is, let's go here. How to install WordPress. There we go. All right. How to install WordPress locally. So we do that. That's our prompt. Then so let's just make sure everything is on. Saved. And it's firing off. You can see here, it's running and it goes through. That's our steps right there. And we refresh and we have how to install WordPress. There you go. Come along in here. And yeah, you have to fix up the filtering and things like that, but you get the gist. So that is all there. Okay. So I think that is it. Any questions before we finish up? No, there isn't. Been a bit quiet tonight, but that's all right. That's all right. It's actually easier for me to pay attention when it's a little quieter. I will stay back if anyone wants to have a little chit chat. All right, let's just leave it there. All right, well, thank you very much for joining me this evening. If you want to learn more about Drupal and other CMSs, head over to webwash.net. And also, if you want to check out other Drupal videos, head over to our YouTube channel, or you're probably watching this on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, and click on live, because under the live tab, you will see all our saved videos. And if you have any questions, leave a comment. And also just give me ideas for other live streams, please. Just simple ones, but not like, oh, how to optimize Drupal. It has to be specific. So if you can give me a very specific thing, like how to do this, this, and this, that'd be good. Anyway, thank you very much. And I'll catch you all next time. All right. That was fun. That was fun, fun, fun. All right. How was that? Let me go back to this. I hope everyone had a fun session. And let's have a quick look to see if there's any comments anywhere else. Anywhere else, anywhere else, anywhere else. Before I finish up. No. All right, cool. And what about the tube of you? No, no, no. All right, cool. All right, so let's finish up. Thank you very much for joining me. How many more weeks is it? I think it's like, what, 2 more weeks? Then it's the end of the year. And then I would have been doing this for a whole year, except for summer, because I took a bit of a break for that. Yeah, anyway. All right, well, thank you all for joining. Hope everyone has a good evening and catch you all later. All right, see you later. Take care.